Hello, I'm Marcus Boston. In today's video, we are going to discuss the lifetime costs that are associated with a baby that has suffered a traumatic brain injury at birth. The reason why I'm talking about this today is because this is a question that frequently comes up for families who contact us. Generally, their baby has just suffered a traumatic brain injury, I should say, and it's usually an HIE diagnosis, hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy. I'm not going to really get too deep into that diagnosis today. I've got other videos that go into way more depth about HIE, but just suffice it to say, HIE is a type of traumatic brain injury, and for some other families, they may have just gotten a subsequent CP diagnosis and they have concerns about these medical costs. They're early in the process and they see the bills and they are wondering, okay, how do we know how do we get an idea as to the long-term costs for our baby as the baby grows and as the baby gets older? And so when it comes to this type of analysis as a birth trauma or birth injury attorney, one very important part of this process is understanding the severity of the brain injury. That is really key because that can unlock a lot of other doors down the road. And the more severe the injury, then in some cases you can expect the child to need more assistance as they get older. And so understanding the severity of the brain injury is important. In addition to the severity of the injury, knowing whether there are going to be any subsequent diagnoses in the future, that is also important in this process. So for example, cerebral palsy or CP. Back in 2003, the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, they had some information out that said that for a person who had a CP diagnosis, on average, it was going to take about $1 million or close to $1 million for care and for costs associated with that CP diagnosis. Now, that was not including, your traditional regular life things. That was, your cost of living and things like that for life. That was just for medical care. So that was close to $1 million back in 2003. Now we fast forward to today. We're in 2021 now. $1 million back in 2003, or close to $1 million in 2003, is not the same $1 million that we have today. And so tying this all in as to the birth injury or the settlement process or understanding all of this, as birth trauma attorneys, what we use are professionals. We use medical professionals who help us understand not only what your baby is going to need right now, but moving into the future. And there are medical experts and there are other types of experts who can help us be able to understand this. One important tool, which I've talked about in other videos, is called the life care plan. So what this life care plan does is this is a professional who is certified in completing life care plans. This professional will meet with the family and have an idea as to not only what the family and the baby needs today, but projecting out into the future what the baby and the family is going to need. So this life care plan is crucial in understanding the costs associated with care moving into the future. So that, like I said, that life care plan is very important. And there's other professionals that we use as birth trauma and birth injury attorneys to help us be able to explain to families what the cost for their individual child is going to be, or what we have an idea, a gauge as to what those costs will be into the future. Now remember, I said for that individual child. There are a lot of factors that come into play when we're doing these types of cases. So you just can't assume that just because one child may need X, that all children are going to need X. You have to look at it from an individual standpoint when we're talking about this. So I know this is a longer video, and I know I talked about a lot in this video, but this is a question that we get a lot from parents, and they're trying to understand, they're looking into the future, not only for the cost for everything, but, if the case is they file a birth trauma case and they're looking to settle that case, or the other side, they want to do mediation and all of that, how does the family have an idea as to, okay, is this a good number that the other side is suggesting to us, and using all of these things that we discussed in the video today, this allows families to have a better understanding of what's going on with their baby and their family, therefore allowing them to make the best decision possible for their situation. If you have more questions about this issue, maybe you're watching today because your baby does have an HIE diagnosis and you have questions as to what caused it. Maybe there were some issues that were going on during labor and delivery. Maybe there were some issues on the fetal heart monitor. Maybe the strips were non-reassuring. Whatever the case may be, you have questions. If you have that going on, there is a telephone number down below. And what I invite you to do is to go ahead and pick up the phone and call me. I talk with families like yours all the time about these issues: HIE, CP, cerebral palsy, MAS, brachial plexus injuries. This is what we do. One more thing before I go. I practice law here in the state of Maryland. And if you are watching this video and you are not in Maryland and you contact me, because this video is on the internet and I have no control over who's watching, if you do reach out to us, you have to understand, if this is something that we think that we can assist you with, that we have to use what we call co-counsel or local counsel. In other words, an attorney in your state if you're not in Maryland. So I just want to make sure that you understand that local counsel or that co-counsel aspect of things. All right, that's going to be it for today's video. Again, I am Marcus Boston, and I'm one of the childbirth injury and medical malpractice attorneys practicing law here in the state of Maryland at Boston Law Group, LLC. We will see you next time. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.